Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, I'll be explaining user interface design of Transliterator app on Android Studio. So I've already opened the Android Studio. So this is the Android Studio, and also I've run the program. So this is the output of my program. You can see the app on the emulator. So this is the Transliterator app. So here you can see the enter the text. So whenever you give the text in any language, it get translated to English. And also you can upload the file of any language here and click on the translate, and you can see the output file with the translated one. And also you can save the file here. Okay, so I'll show you the working later. Now first let me explain you the code. Okay, so I've created 8 pages here, so 8 files. The first one is the XML one. So this is bglogin.xml. So you can see the first line. The first line, this is the XML declaration. It specifies the version of XML, which is 1.0, and the character encoding is UTF-8. Okay, and the next line. So here the shape. So shape element is a root element of XML file, and it defines the drawable shape. And we have XML NS Android. So this attribute defines the XML namespace for Android attributes. Next is the gradient. So this is the element with the shape that defines a gradient. So we can see here the start color. So it's this sets the starting color of the gradient, and it references of color source is teal 200. Okay, the actual color value. So these are the color values are defined in colors.xml, the resource file. Okay, so and you can see the end color, that is purple 200, and here the angle. So the gray this is the angle at which the gradient is applied. In this case, it is set to minus 355 degrees, which means it's a diagonal gradient from the top right corner to the bottom left corner. So this XML file defines a drawable resource that can be used as a background for a view in an Android application. So you can see the background here. When applied, it will create a background gradient transitioning from a teal color to a purple color. You can see how you can see the color variation on the screen. The actual colors used will be determined by the values defined in the colors.xml resource file. So the next pages, the next file is XML strings.xml. So in Android development, resource files are used to store non-code resources such as strings, images, layouts, and more. So here the resource. So this is the root element of the resource file. So it contains all the resource files of Android applications. And we have the string name. Okay, so this is a string resource declaration. It defines a string with the name, app name, and the value translate API. So here app name. Okay, so this is the identifier for the string resource. It's how you reference this string to your code. In this case, it's being used as the name of the app. Translate API, this is the actual text value of the string. It's the name of the application as it will appear to users. So the next page is activity splash. So as I told, this line, it defines the version and the character encoding, that is UTF-8. So we have relative layout. So this is the root element of XML file in Android. A relative layout is a type of layout that arranges its child views relative to each other or to the parent view. Next, as I told, this line defines the XML namespace for the Android framework. It allows you to use Android specific attributes in your XML file. So next is this app. This line defines a namespace for custom attributes defined by your app. The app namespace is commonly used to use for attributes that are not part of the standard Android frames. Tools, it is similar to the name app, where it defines the namespace for attributes used by development tools. These attributes are typically used for previewing layouts in Android Studio. Next, we have the ID. This line sets the ID attribute of the root, and the next one is the width. So this sets the width of the relative layout to wrap its content. It means that the view will be as wide as necessary to contain its child views. Next, we have the height. So it sets the height of the relative layer to wrap the content. It means that the view will be tall as necessary to contain its content. And the context, this is a design time attribute used by development tools. It specifies the context of the view. In this case, the associated activity is splash activity. Next, we have image view. It is the view element representing an image view. It's used to display images in an Android application. So ID attribute, this sets the ID attribute to the image view. And again, width, it sets the width of the image view, and height sets the height to the image view. And then the margin left, it sets left margin to the image view to 240 density independent pixels. So DP means density independent pixels. This means there will be space of 240 dp between the left edge of the view and its parent. Next, we have Android margin top. So this sets the top margin to 860 dp, and center in parent is set to true. It centers the image view both horizontally and vertically within its parent, that is relative layout. Then source compact, that is drawable. So this sets the image resource from the image view, refers to an image named img in the drawable resource folder. So there is a drawable resource folder here. So where the image, so it sets img in the drawable resource folder. So next is app Android manifest XML. So Android manifest XML file, which is a crucial configuration file for an Android application. It provides essential information about the app to the Android system. So let us see the code. So as I told, this tells the version, and this tells the character encoding. And the next is the manifest line, where this is the root element of the Android manifest .xml file. It defines the XML namespace for Android attributes and specifies the package name of the application. The next is we have XML So this XML is Android. So this line defines the XML namespace, and the package this attribute sets the package name for application and its unique identifier for the app. And next is user permission. So in the first line, this line request to read from external storage. This is necessary if the app needs to access access files that are stored outside the private space. And the second one is you can like it is requesting for the permission to write to external storage. So it's needed if the app intends to save files to external storage. And the third one is the third line, it requests the permission to manage the external storage. This permission allows the app to manage its own content in external storage. So next we have the application attribute. So this is a main element that contains the information about the application. So we have the allow backup, which is set to true. It indicates whether the app is allowed to back up its data to Google servers. And we have the Android icon. So this will set the icon for the app, and it references an image resource named img in the drawable resource. So it is referring to the image img from the drawable resource. And we have the label is it is a references to a string resource named app name, which is likely used as the name of the app. The next is support supports RTL. Then this is set to true. This indicates the app support right to left. So RTL layouts. So which is important for internationalization. Next is the theme. Theme is for the application where it references to a style resource named theme transliterator. Okay, so next is the activity. Here, this is a component that represents a single screen with a user interface. So we have splash activity. So the class name of the activity, it's relative to the package name com.example.transliterator, and here the exported is true. This attribute indicates that the activity can be used by other apps. So intent filter is there. So this is used to specify the types that the activity can respond to. So action, Android name, android.intent.action main. So this indicates the activity should be the main entry point of the app. The next is the launcher, the main name. So this category indicates that the activity should appear in the system's list of applications as the main entry point. So the intent filter and the activity is closed. Okay, so there's another activity defined, which is likely the main activity of the application. So however, specific details about it is not so important. Next is the application. So we have closed the application. This marks the end of the application. And then this manifest, the closing the manifest, and this marks the end of the Android manifest.xml file. So the overall thing about this file is that it provides the crucial information about the application, including its components, permission, and the configurations. So the next is Translate API. So let us see this. So this is the first line. So this line defines the XML namespace for Android attributes and its standard declaration for Android XML files. Next is the package. So this attribute sets the package name for the application and its unique identifier for the app. The user permission, this line requests the permission to access the internet. Okay, to access the internet, and this permission is necessary if the app needs to make a network request, for example to fetch a data from a server or interact with the web services. So whenever the app needs to fetch a data or interact with the web services, we need a permission to make the app in contact with the network. So that's why we need the access of internet, and that's why we are using this permission line. And next we are closing this manifest line. So this is all about the Translate API manifest, Android manifest.xml. So let us go into the Java, okay, Java code. So first, let me explain the main activity, Java. So this is the main activity.java, and it contains the code for handling user interface elements, permissions, and interacting with the Translate API. Okay, so the first is import statement. So here you have, see when I click on the three dots, you can see all the files that have imported, all the header files that has been imported here. Okay, so these are the header files that is required for this program. So let us come back to the class declarations. So you have public class main activity extends app compact activity. So this line declares a class name main activity, and that extends app compact activity. It means that this class represents the main activity of the application. We have member variables. So here edit text, button, text view, so, and others, whatever there. So they are declared at the class level so that they can be accessed throughout the class. So these variables represent the user interface elements like buttons, text fields, and text views. Next, we have the member variables. So the member variables are this private static final int and private static final, the permission request storage. So these variables represent user interface elements like, that's what I said. No? So these constant integers, these are the constant integers used to identify specific requests, such as requesting permission to read external storage. Next, we have the onCreate. We can see here the onCreate method. So this method is called when the activity is first created. It sets up the initial state of the activity. So whenever the activity has to be set, like it should be started, this activity is called. Okay. So next is click listeners. So you can see this on click listeners. So here this sets up a click listener for translate button. So like you can see, whenever I click the translate button, the program, whatever the out we expect for some output there. So it's just a on click listener. Whenever it is clicked, it triggers the translation process using the translate API. Next, we have the requesting permission, that is activity compact request. You can see here activity compact request. So this requires the permissions to read and write external source. So these permissions are necessary for saving and reading the files. So whenever you upload the files, it should be read, and whenever and if you click on the save, it should be saved. So that for that purpose, this permission line is written. And the next is on resume method. You can see the on resume method here. So this method is called when the activity is resumed after being paused or started for the first time. It checks if necessary permission is granted and requests them not. Next is the take permission method. Take permission method. This method is responsible for requesting file access permission on Android 11 and later versions. So next is the download text. Download text. So this method is called when the save button is clicked. So it saves the translated text or a file on the external storage. So the for the save button, this download text method is called. Next, we have upload on click. So this is the so whenever the method is called when the save button is so whenever the method is called the upload button is clicked, it it initiates a file picker to select a file for translation. And next is we are having read text. So read text, this is the method that reads the content of file and returns it as a string. And then we are having perform file search. So this method initiates a file picker for the user to select a file. Next, we are having the emulator, and you can see this method checks if the app is running on emulator or a physical device. So this will so here I'm running on the emulator. This is the emulator. Physical device is my phone. If I connect this to my phone, it is physical device, and I can do it. And next is on activity result. So this method is called when an activity that was started for a result returns a result. In the case, it handles the result of the file picker. Next is on request permission result method. This method is called when the user responds to a permission request. It checks if the necessary permission are granted and takes appropriate action. So this is all about main activity. So overall main activity class handles user interactions with UI elements, request and manages permission, and interacts with the translate API for translation task. So the next is translate API.java. So let us see what this file is. So this is a Java class named translate API. That provide a translation functionality by making use of Google Translate API. Okay, so here is the package name, Translate API. Package name, Translate API, com.man Translate API. So this line specifies the package name where the class belongs. Next is the import statements. These are the import statements for these. Here, I click, I can see. Yeah. So these are the import. These are imports of various classes and packages used in this file. Next, we are having the public class translate API. This defines a public class named translate API. So we have member variables, that is string resp, string URL, string lang form, lang2, word. So these variables hold information about the translation request, including the source and target languages and the text to be translated. Next, we have the constructor. So we have public translate API, string lang forms. So these are the constructor of class. It takes the source language, target language, and the text to be translated as parameters. It then initiates an asynchronous task to perform the translation. So we have the inner class, that is async. So this is an inner class that extends a async task. It is responsible for performing actual translation in the background thread. And next is do in background. Do in background. This method executes the translation task in background thread. It makes an HTTP request to the EU Google Translate API, processes the response and stores the result in the RESP variable. So we have on post. On post execute. So this method is called after the background task is complete. It processes the response received from the API, extracts the translated text, and notifies the translate listener about the result. Translate set translate listener method. So this method allows an external class to set a listener for translation events. And next we have translate listener. This is an interface that defines two methods, on success and on failure. These methods will be implementing by classes that want to listen for translation events. So overall, the Translate API calls class serves as a bridge between the application and the Google's Translate API, allowing for text translation operation to be performed asynchronously. It provides callbacks to modify and to notify the application about the result of the translation process. Next, we are having language.java. So this file is named language. This is a Java class and it provides a set of static final strings representing language codes. So these language codes are used to specify the source and the target languages for translation. So each string corresponds to a specific language. So here's what the class does. So you can see the public class language. This defines a public class name language. And we have language and we have the member variables. So this class contain public static final string which representing a language code. So these codes are used to identify different languages for translation. So you can see there are many languages here. So each and every language is having a code here. So this will define the code for each and every language. So language codes are like you can see for English it is EN that represent English, and for French it is FR that represent the French, and so on. So we have Kannada also, that is KM. Okay. So then so these language codes can be used when making translation requests to indicate the source and the target language. So overall, this language class simplifies the process of specifying languages for translation in the application. Instead of remembering language codes, developers can use these constants to specify the desired languages. For example, if you want to translate from English to Spanish, you can use language.english for the source language and language.spanish for the target language. Target language. So you can translate any language that you want to translate. For example, so let me translate. Let me run this program. Okay, so it's I've already run it, and let me execute it. So here I've copied few text. So first I'm trying with Kannada. So here I'm going to paste it. Okay. So now I'm translating it. See, hello, ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? Okay, hello, ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ, ಹೇಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ? Hello, how are you? Okay, so let us try another one. So this is Japanese sentence. So let me paste it. So now you can see the output. I'll become a pirate. So this is the Japanese statement and this is the translated thing. I'll try another statement. It actually works better when you install it in the phone. These emulators are not good. See, यह सबसे अच्छा app है. So this is the best app. So this is all about the Transliterator app. So let me tell you some importance about user interface design. User interface design is a subset of field of study called human computer interaction. And this is a study, planning and design of how people and computers work together so that a need person's needs are satisfied in the most effective way. So what are the importance of good design? User interface design is, in spite of today's rich technologies and tools, we are enabled to provide effective and usable screen because lack of time and care. So a well-designed interface and screen is terribly important to our users. It is their window to view the capabilities of the system, and it is also the vehicle through which complex tasks can be performed. The screen's layout and experience affect a person in a variety of ways. If they are confusing and inefficient, people will have greater difficulty in doing their jobs and will make more mistakes. So poor design may even chase some people away from a system permanently. So it can lead to aggravation, frustration, and increased stress. So having a good design is very important. So the benefits of well-designed screen have also been under experimental. So one researcher, for example, attempted to improve screen clarity and readability by making screens less crowded. The result, the screen users of the modified screens completed transaction in 25% less time and with 25% fewer errors than those who use the original screens. So another benefit is ultimately that an organization customers benefit because of the improved service they receive. Identifying and resolving problems and during the design and development process also have significant economic benefits. So this is all about UID. Thanks for watching.